decorations, masks, costumes, makeup. Everything you need for Halloween fun.
Get a McDonald's soft drink. Ooh, what was that? A book of 20 Halloween gift certificates cost.
The perfect treat for your little monsters.
Happy Halloween. It is Friday, October 31st, and for Halloween, we're returning to one of our favorite formats, the Top 10. Tonight, we're counting down something a little different, the Top 10 Internet Urban Legends. For generations, people have shared ghost stories around campfires, tales like Bloody Mary, the vanishing hitchhiker, or the boatman. But over the last 25 years, those word-of-mouth traditions have shifted into the digital age, spawning a new breed of legends. Stories born online, spreading across forums, social media, and YouTube. They are our modern-day campfire tales. Only now, the glow doesn't come from flames, but from screens. Before we begin, I want to make an important distinction. Internet urban legends versus unsolved internet mysteries. Unsolved internet mysteries are rooted in things that undeniably exist, but their mystery lies in the unanswered questions around them. Take Kanye Quest 3030. It was a real ARG/art project, but rumors of cult involvement pushed it into eerie territory. Internet urban legends, on the other hand, often stem from creepypasta or fabrications that people want to believe are real. For instance, the Expressionless, a story with no evidence behind it, yet is spread widely as if it actually happened. So with that distinction made, dig into your candy bowl, make some popcorn, light up your jack-o'-lanterns, and let's dive into the Top 10 Internet Urban Legends. Number 10. The Serbian Dancing Lady. The Serbian Dancing Lady is one of the most unsettling internet urban legends to emerge in recent years. Unlike traditional folklore passed down through generations, her story began on the streets of Zvezdara, a neighborhood in Serbia, and quickly migrated into the digital age. The legend revolves around a woman who dances eerily at night, carrying a knife and chasing anyone who approaches her. The first reported sighting occurred at the end of September 2019, outside a hospital in Zvezdara. Locals reported seeing a middle-aged woman dancing alone in the streets late at night. Her movements resembled the kolo, a traditional Serbian folk dance, but performed in a disconcerting, almost unnatural way. Police were called to investigate, but she disappeared without a trace. Despite these claims, no official confirmation was ever made, and her identity remains unknown to this day. Following the initial sighting, the Serbian Dancing Lady evolved from local oddity into a viral sensation. Social media platforms, particularly TikTok, fueled her legend. In early 2024, clips purportedly showing her dancing appeared across Europe and even Southeast Asia. Many of these videos were fabricated, laughably so. Others edited with skill to terrify viewers. Part of what makes the Serbian Dancing Lady myth so compelling is what remains unknown. Her face has never been clearly captured on video. Her exact identity is unconfirmed, and her current whereabouts remain a mystery. Beyond the digital realm, some reports suggest that her image has been exploited in real-world crime, with impersonators using her fearsome reputation as a mugging tactic. Whether real or imagined or somewhere in between, she embodies the way modern horror legends evolve in the digital age, part folklore, part internet phenomenon, and entirely haunting. Number 9. The Expressionless, a hospital horror that never was. As mentioned before, the Expressionless is one of the most infamous creepypasta-born urban legends of the internet age. Unlike traditional ghost stories or even urban myths that root themselves in real-world events, the Expressionless is a piece of pure internet folklore, a fictional horror tale later passed off as real by those who encountered it online. Its enduring appeal lies in the grotesque imagery of its central figure, a mannequin-like woman devoid of humanity, whose blank stare hides something monstrous. The story first appeared on the Creepypasta website in 2012. According to the tale, the events took place in 1972 at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. Doctors and nurses were confronted with a woman who seemed deeply unnatural. She was described as beautiful at first glance, but eerily off-putting upon closer inspection. Pale, mannequin-like skin, an inhumanly smooth face, and dark, lifeless eyes. Worst of all, her mouth was described as resembling that of a doll, fixed in a haunting semblance of a smile. Her strange demeanor only escalated as the hospital staff attempted to treat her. When doctors tried to restrain her, she allegedly lashed out, killing several members of staff with terrifying ease. In the climax of the story, she finally spoke for the first and only time, delivering the chilling line, "I am God." With that, the narrative ends abruptly, leaving readers disturbed by the thought of a superhuman, mannequin-like entity slipping back into obscurity. Though crafted as a short horror story, the Expressionless quickly blurred into legend, once shared beyond the creepypasta community. Over time, the Expressionless spread across YouTube, TikTok, and Reddit in the form of true horror videos and narrated retellings. For many who encountered it outside of the original 2012 story, it felt like a genuine hospital mystery covered up by authorities, a testament to how easily internet folklore can take root when paired with a disturbing photo and a chilling narrative. Number 8. Randonautica. Randonautica is one of the rare cases where an internet urban legend didn't emerge from pure fiction, but from a real, functioning app. Launched in 2020, Randonautica bills itself as the world's first quantumly generated adventure app. It uses a random number generator to create geographical coordinates near the user's location, encouraging people to explore places they would never otherwise visit. In theory, it's about serendipity, curiosity, and discovery, but in practice, and in online lore, the app quickly became associated with something darker, a supposed ability to lead users towards terrifying, tragic, or even supernatural encounters. The most infamous story attached to Randonautica surfaced in June of 2020, when a group of Seattle teenagers filmed their adventure for TikTok. The app led them to a shoreline where they discovered a suitcase washed up on the rocks. Initially laughing and joking, the group opened it to find garbage bags filled with an overpowering smell. Police were called and the bags were later confirmed to be human remains. The footage went viral, cementing Randonautica's reputation as not just a quirky app, but as a potential gateway to horror. From there, tales of Randonautica adventures gone wrong spread rapidly across social media. Many videos played up the fear factor, editing in ominous music and reacting dramatically to normal coincidences. The app's novelty turned Randonautica into a digital age Ouija board, a tool seen as capable of connecting people not just with random locations, but with hidden darkness. Yet, the reality is far less mysterious. Randonautica does not intentionally lead users to danger. It simply generates random coordinates. The app's creator, Joshua Langfelder, has repeatedly stated that its purpose is to encourage exploration, mindfulness, and breaking free of habitual patterns. But the allure of the app lies in how easily the human mind can interpret chance as fate, especially when paired with an expectation of danger. Number 7. Candle Cove. Among the many internet-born urban legends, few captured the unsettling blend of nostalgia and dread quite like Candle Cove. Unlike traditional creepypastas that hinge on monsters or gore, Candle Cove works because it taps into something far subtler: the hazy, unreliable memories of childhood television. It asks a simple, chilling question: what if the show you remember watching as a kid never existed? The story first appeared in 2009 on the horror fiction site creepypasta.com, written by Chris Straub, who went on to make the popular analog horror series Local 58. It took the form of a forum thread where users reminisced about an old children's program called Cove. The structure was deceptively simple. Each poster recalled increasingly disturbing details about the show, which had supposedly aired in the 1970s. At first, it seemed like a typical kids' puppet show, featuring a young girl named Janice, who interacted with a cast of odd characters, like the Skin Taker, a skeleton pirate who wore a cloak made from children's skin. As the thread progressed, the memories grew stranger. One user remembered an episode where all the puppets simply screamed for 30 minutes straight. Another recalled that when they asked their mother about watching Cove as a child, she told them they would just sit in front of the television, staring at static for half an hour. The conversation ended with an ominous sense that Cove was not just a show, but something that preyed upon its viewers. The brilliance of Cove lies in its presentation. By using the format of an internet forum, Straub blurred the line between fiction and reality. Readers stumbled across it, and without realizing it was a short story, believed they were reading genuine accounts from real people. The participatory style is what elevated it from a mere creepypasta into an internet urban legend. Suddenly, thousands of readers began to question their own childhood memories, wondering if they too had seen strange forgotten programming. The legend only grew as fans created their own media, fake clips, eerie lost episodes, and unsettling recreations that made Cove feel tangible. The concept became so influential that it eventually crossed into mainstream media. In 2016, Sci-Fi adapted the story into the first season of its horror anthology series, Channel Zero. This television version expanded Straub's idea into a full narrative, weaving in elements of nostalgia, trauma, and supernatural influence, while still centering on the eerie notion of children staring at static and claiming to see a show no one else could. What made Cove enduring is its universality. Almost everyone has a half-remembered childhood program that, in retrospect, seems bizarre or maybe unsettling. By weaponizing nostalgia, the story created a legend that feels deeply personal to each reader. It doesn't matter that Cove was never real. For many, the act of reading the story unlocked memories of a strange puppet show, eerie mascots, or unsettling PSAs from their own childhood. Number 6. Hell.com. Of all the internet urban legends, few are as infamous or as shrouded in mystery as Hell.com. Unlike many creepypastas that are openly fictional, Hell.com is a real domain. But the secrecy surrounding it has fueled decades of speculation, exaggeration, and outright myth-making. For many, it is remembered less as a website and more as a legend, a digital underworld that supposedly hides horrors from which few ever return. The domain Hell.com was first registered in 1995 by artist and entrepreneur Kenneth Aronson. Far from being a mainstream webpage, it was designed as an invitation-only digital art gallery and experimental online community. It had no public-facing homepage and could not be accessed through normal browsing. Instead, users had to be invited directly, and even then, much of the site's contents was obscured, hidden behind layers of passwords and private portals. Aronson envisioned it as a kind of cyber bunker, a curated space for digital art and avant-garde projects. But the very secrecy that defined Hell.com became the seed of its legend. With no clear explanation of what went on inside, rumors flourished. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, whispers spread across forums, chain emails, and early creepypasta sites, claiming the domain was home to disturbing or even illegal content. Tales circulated of violent imagery, black markets, occult activity, and even supposed live feeds of torture or death. These claims were never substantiated, but the mystique of the name Hell.com and its private, closed-door nature made the stories believable enough to spread. The myth of Hell.com thrived during the rise of the deep web panic in the early 2000s, when internet users speculated endlessly about hidden corners of the web filled with unspeakable content. In this climate, Hell.com became a symbol of the forbidden, a place where everyone had heard of, but no one could actually see. When the domain periodically went up for auction, at one point listed for over $1 million, the mystery only deepened. Why was the site so valuable if it was just an art project? The lack of answers only gave fuel to the legend. In truth though, Hell.com never housed the nightmarish material that rumor attributed to it, though its locked-away nature ensured that most outsiders would never believe that. Today, the domain has shifted hands several times and has largely lost its cultural relevance, but its legend persists in online discussions of the internet's darker myths. Number 5. The Grifter. The Grifter video is an alleged piece of lost media that became part of early internet folklore in the late 2000s. It's described as a short, disturbing video clip that supposedly causes viewers to experience physical or psychological distress, including nausea, fainting, or hysteria. No verified copy of the video has ever been found. Mentions of the Grifter first appeared on internet forums around 2007 and 2008, particularly on sites like 4chan and Reddit. Users claimed to have encountered a video so unsettling that it could not be fully watched without severe reactions. The earliest posts described a woman crying in a dimly lit room, intercut with flashes of distorted imagery or faces. Others claimed it contained subliminal messages or coded audio frequencies. Over time, numerous supposed re-uploads of the video surfaced on YouTube and other sites. Each was quickly debunked, removed, or revealed to be an unrelated horror clip. The story evolved as more users contributed details, including references to secret government experiments or psychological tests. However, there has never been any verifiable source, original uploader, or traceable file. Like many early creepypastas, the Grifter video reflects the era's fascination with cursed or forbidden media, a modern evolution of campfire stories adapted for the internet. To date, there is no evidence that the Grifter video ever existed. It remains a product of collective storytelling, an example of how online communities can build and sustain digital folklore through shared imagination, fear, and repetition. The myth endures not because of what anyone has seen, but because of what no one can prove. Number 4. The Red Room Curse. The Red Room Curse, a tale that began circulated in the late 1990s and early 2000s during the rise of personal computers and the early web. At its heart, the story is simple but sinister. If you encounter a pop-up window asking, "Do you like the Red Room?" your fate is already sealed. Soon after, the victim is found dead, often by their own hand, with their walls painted red in their own blood. The myth gained infamy in Japan, where it was tied to both internet fears and real-life tragedies. It was said that victims who stumbled across the cursed pop-up would be marked by some malevolent force. Once the question appeared, no matter how many times you clicked to close the window, it would reappear again and again. Eventually, the victim would vanish from the online world entirely, only to be discovered dead, fulfilling the gruesome prophecy of the Red Room. What gave the legend extra weight was its eerie connection to reality. After the 2004 Sasebo slashing, when an 11-year-old girl murdered her classmate, the media discovered the killer had allegedly bookmarked a flash animation about the Red Room curse. Suddenly, what was once a creepypasta-like rumor took on a darker cultural significance. The idea that a child could be influenced, even obsessed, with something so grim sparked national debates about the dangers of the internet and its unregulated influence on impressionable youth. Of course, like many digital legends, the curse itself is a fabrication. There is no evidence that cursed pop-ups exist in the way the story describes, nor that a supernatural entity is pushing people to their deaths. The Red Room was most likely born out of early flash horror animations. In the end, the Red Room curse isn't about a literal pop-up, but about how horror lingers in the gaps between technology and psychology. Number 3. Selene Delgado Lopez. In the realm of internet urban legends, Selene Delgado Lopez is one of the most quietly unnerving. She isn't a ghost lurking in your hallway, or a cursed video that dooms you after 7 days. Instead, she is a name, a stranger, who finds her way into your online life, and once she appears, she seemingly never leaves. The story begins in Mexico during the late 1980s and early 1990s, when national television would broadcast regular segments highlighting missing persons. These PSAs listed names and sometimes photographs, encouraging the public to help locate the vanished. Somewhere in these broadcasts, a curious detail emerged. The name Selene Delgado Lopez was consistently included. Unlike other entries, however, there were never any photos, family pleas, or further information about her. People began to notice the oddity. Who was Selene? Why was she always listed among the missing? Some speculated it was a clerical error, a name that slipped into the system and kept being recycled. Others whispered it was intentional, a planted name meant to unsettle viewers. What truly deepened the mystery was the absence of any records. No missing persons report, no police profile, no birth certificate. Outside of those eerie televised appearances, Selene Delgado Lopez seemed to never have existed. The myth might have faded into obscurity if not for the rise of Facebook in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Users across Latin America began reporting something deeply strange. A profile with the name Selene Delgado Lopez showing up in their friends lists, even if they had never accepted a request. Screenshots began to circulate of people claiming they couldn't block her profile. Attempts to delete or report the account allegedly failed. To those already familiar with her mysterious TV past, this was terrifying. It seems Selene had followed people into the digital age. First a nameless presence in a missing persons broadcast, now a permanent guest in your online social circle. Even if you didn't know her, she somehow knew you. While the likely explanation was far less supernatural, Facebook glitches or multiple trolls and copycat accounts deliberately perpetuating the myth, the idea took root quickly. The inability to block her, or rather the rumor of it, tapped into an everyday anxiety about privacy and control. So who was Selene Delgado Lopez? The truth is likely far less exciting, and more than likely it was a clerical slip in the missing person listing, perpetuated by repetition. Once the internet picked up on the anomaly, the myth snowballed, with fake accounts and online trolls feeding into the mystery. The "you can't block her" rumor was debunked. Yet the lack of a definitive answer, why her name appeared in the PSAs, why so many claimed she appeared on their accounts, leaves enough ambiguity to keep the story alive. And that is the essence of an urban legend, something that refuses to be fully explained, hovering between fact and fiction. Number 2. Jeff the Killer. Among the most infamous figures in creepypasta history, none are as instantly recognizable or as unsettling as Jeff the Killer. His pale, ghost-like face, sunken eyes, and unnervingly wide smile became an icon of internet horror in the early 2010s, endlessly reposted in forums, YouTube videos, and scary image chain posts. But behind the meme-worthy terror lies a mystery that has haunted the internet for over a decade. Where did the image of Jeff the Killer actually come from? The character of Jeff the Killer first emerged in creepypasta forums like Newgrounds and the Creepypasta Wiki in the late 2000s. The story was simple yet effective. A boy named Jeff becomes disfigured after a violent altercation and gradually descends into madness, carving a permanent smile into his face before embarking on a murder spree. The story's haunting tagline, "Go to sleep," cemented Jeff as a household name in the online horror community. But it wasn't the text that made Jeff legendary, it was the image. As shown here, the infamous Jeff picture shows a chalk-white face with bulging black eyes and a Joker-like grin stretched far too wide. Its lo-fi, overexposed quality only adds to its creepiness. It looks real enough to disturb, but artificial enough to feel uncanny. The image was passed around without context, used as a jump scare in YouTube videos, and spread on message boards. Over the years, countless theories have emerged about the photo's true origins. One of the earliest, most persistent rumors claimed the image was an edited photo of a woman named Katie Robinson, who allegedly after online bullying. According to the story, trolls had warped her picture into Jeff's terrifying visage, and it later spread uncontrollably. However, investigations have shown no verifiable evidence of Katie Robinson existing, and the story is widely considered a fabricated creepypasta within a creepypasta. Another theory claims Jeff's image was lifted and edited from a YouTube makeup tutorial or candid webcam footage in the mid-2000s, where someone's face was heavily distorted with overexposure and digital editing. While this seems plausible, no original video has ever resurfaced. Some internet researchers linked Jeff's face to the infamous smile.jpg creepypasta, which also features a grotesque, wide-mouthed smile. The two images certainly share thematic DNA, but no evidence connects their actual origins. But perhaps the most widely accepted explanation is that Jeff's face was simply a product of crude photo manipulation, passed around 4chan and Something Awful forums in the mid-2000s. The Jeff the Killer image is a perfect example of how internet horror thrives not on certainty, but on ambiguity. It's likely just a crude Photoshop from the early 2000s, yet its power lies in the facts that we don't know for sure. The unknown is always scarier than any confirmed truth. And the #1 internet urban legend, Slenderman. Among all internet-born myths, none loom taller than Slenderman. A faceless, impossibly thin figure in a black suit, he became the true first monster of the digital age, a creature with no folklore roots, no ancient myths, and no cultural precedent beyond the internet itself. Slenderman embodies what makes digital legends so powerful. He was born online, grew through collaboration, crossed into mainstream media, and ultimately blew up everywhere. Slenderman was created in June of 2009 on the Something Awful forums. The user Eric Knudsen, posting under the pseudonym Victor Surge, submitted 2 doctored photos for a contest in which users were asked to create paranormal images. His images depicted a tall, faceless figure lurking in the background of old black and white photos surrounded by children. To enhance the eeriness, Knudsen added captions suggesting disappearances, strange fires, and government suppression. The character had no elaborate backstory at first, but the imagery was instantly compelling. Other users began expanding on the idea, describing encounters, inventing lore, and creating additional sightings. Within weeks, Slenderman had transcended the contest and became a collaborative online myth. So Slenderman quickly developed a set of core traits, though these often varied depending on the storyteller. He was depicted as a tall, often 7 to 10 feet, faceless humanoid in a black suit, sometimes depicted with tentacle-like appendages sprouting from his back. He stalks children or young adults, often for long periods of time over weeks or even months, before abducting them. He can induce paranoia, memory loss, and hallucinations. Sometimes he causes technology to glitch or static to appear on cameras. Rather than attacking outright, Slenderman is often portrayed as a psychological tormentor, getting inside his victim's head before leading them to vanish on their own accord. Because his lore was spread across forums, YouTube videos, and fanfiction, Slenderman's mythology was never fixed. The flexibility made him the perfect collaborative monster. By the early 2010s, Slenderman had become a full-blown internet cultural phenomenon. Stories proliferated across the creepypasta wiki, Reddit, and independent horror forums, expanding his mythos. From 2009 to 2014, a YouTube found footage series inspired by Slenderman called Marble Hornets portrayed him as the quote-unquote operator, a supernatural being haunting a film crew. The series was hugely influential, pioneering the ARG-style internet horror that blurred fiction and reality and analog horror in general. Then came the video games. Slenderman the 8 Pages came out in 2012. It was a free indie horror game where players collected notes while being stalked by Slenderman. Its simple mechanics and jump scares made it a viral sensation on YouTube. Follow-ups like Slender the Arrival in 2013 expanded the story and cemented him as a pop culture figure. Slenderman soon broke into books, documentaries, and eventually a Hollywood film, though the movie was criticized for being exploitative given the real-world events tied to the character that happened in 2014. In May of 2014, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, 2 12-year-old girls, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Ware, lured their friend Peyton Lautner into the woods and stabbed her 19 times. Their stated motivation was to appease Slenderman, whom they believed was truly real. They claimed they feared he would hunt their families if they didn't kill for him, and they hoped the act would allow them to become his proxies. After stabbing their friend, they went wandering in the woods looking for Slenderman's mansion. Miraculously, Peyton survived after crawling to a nearby path where a cyclist found her. The two attackers were later arrested and diagnosed with serious mental health issues. The case shocked the world, sparking debates about internet safety, the influence of online horror, and the vulnerability of children to digital mythology. The stabbing remains one of the most disturbing examples of fiction bleeding into reality, and it forever altered how people viewed Slenderman. Today, Slenderman is both an icon and a cautionary tale. He represents the internet's ability to create folklore overnight, but also the dangers of how those stories can be internalized. He has been the subject of scholarly analysis, horror retrospectives, and documentaries even, like Beware the Slenderman that came out in 2016, which specifically examined the Waukesha case. Even as his popularity waned after the mid-2010s, Slenderman's shadow lingers. Thanks again for taking your Halloween night to watch this video. Hopefully you still have some time to go do some spooky events, get some candy, and carve a pumpkin. We'll be back next month with a new video. And until then, have a fun Halloween night, and stay safe out there.